Welcome, listeners. You are tuning in to Unlocking Your Truth with Dr. Leslie and with Corey.
Hello, everyone.
And we are broadcasting on 101.7 FM across the Fraser Valley from the unceded territory of the Stolo Nation.
Yes, we are.
Unlocking Your Truth is a talk show about metaphysics and spirituality. And every week we have a different discussion topic, and we invite you to tune in and participate because we are now live streaming the show from the Awaken Your Psychic Abilities Facebook group and from my YouTube channel, which is if you go onto YouTube and look for Dr. Leslie Phillips, you should find it. And if you tune in live on either of those, you will get a preview of the radio show. All right, well, we've been doing the show for over 4.5 years, if not
Yes,
5
we
years.
have. No, 4.5. No,
Yeah.
5.5. We got
Yeah,
250. We got 251 shows, so it's got to be 5.5.
yeah. So we have an enormous number of podcast episodes. So if you're only just discovering us, you can go to drlesliephillips.com/category/podcast, and you will have a plethora, a plethora of episodes to tune into, all about metaphysics and spirituality. And over the years, we've had some great guests on the show,
Oh,
and we've
yeah.
also covered an enormous number of topics. Now, this year, I'm kind of celebrating. I'm celebrating the launch of my book, which is called Intuition and Chakras. And so, what I thought I would do on the radio show for the rest of the year is we are going to work our way through the information in the book. Now, the book is called Intuition and Chakras. So every episode is going to be about a different form of
Intuitions and
intuition,
chakras.
a different form of intuition, and the chakra that that form of intuition is associated with. And so tonight's episode is all about intuition and the second chakra, and more specifically, the psychic ability of clairsentience, which is an aspect of the second chakra. And I think that this is a topic that should interest a lot of our listeners, because these are the ones that are related to the emotions and a person's emotional reality.
So that's empath. Like that's somebody who's an empath, correct?
Exactly. That there are so many people that identify with being an empath and being empathic, and they are very sensitive to other people's energy and other people's emotional energy. And so if you feel like you're an empath, then this is a great show to tune into, because it's going to help you get a deeper understanding of yourself. And the book is a great book for you to read as well, because it's got some techniques in it that will help you to get seniority over being emotionally overwhelmed. Okay, so and you know what? I think it might be an opportune moment to ask the people in our chat room who are listening live whether they identify with being an empath, whether you
Oh,
are somebody who
good
is
question.
overly sensitive to emotions, whether your life is a bit like an emotional roller coaster ride, whether there's a lot of emotional I was going to say dis-ease in your life, then share that with us. We'd love to know. And of course, feel free, if you are listening live, to post your questions in the chat as we go along, and also your comments as we go along. Tell us about your experiences with your second chakra and with this psychic ability of clairsentience. And one of the things I talk about in the book and in all of my courses is that, you know, you might think, well, oh, I'm not really particularly intuitive. I'm not really particularly psychic. All I have is a whole bunch of problems and challenges. But those problems and challenges can equally be a sign of a psychic ability opening up, as can positive experiences that validate it, because each and every psychic ability comes with its own specific set of challenges. And so we're going to talk about those specific challenges in the show. In fact, I might even start with that. How about that? So let's start talking about that. And so here's some examples. I'm going to give you both sides of the coin. So I'm going to give you some examples of clairsentience that you might identify with. Gut instincts, you know, gut instincts. That's kind of like in a way, a masculine way of thinking about it. You know, business people go with their gut instincts. They've done studies on it. 78% of CEOs make intuitive decisions, and I'm sure a lot of them are going with their gut instincts about a business deal, for example. Or you get a split-second instinct about somebody that allows you to empathize with them and help them. So let's say you're a counselor and you get an instant insight that really helps somebody who's in a bad place shift to a better place. You know, parents tune into their children on an emotional level, sense if something's amiss, even if the child isn't telling them, for example. So if you rely on your gut instincts, it's a sign that you are already using and aware of your clairsentience. So if you have this ability, it might be easy for you to put yourself in other people's shoes, you know. You might be able to understand how people are feeling without them telling you. And you might be the one in the group of your friends that everybody comes to when they're experiencing emotionally heightened experiences and situations, because you're empathic. You have empathy for the other people in your life. The flip side, as I was mentioning at the beginning, is that you could end up feeling other people's pain if you go into sympathy rather than empathy. You may be a bit, and these are the challenges of this ability, by the way, you might be a bit like an emotional sponge, you know, feeling overwhelmed with conflicting emotions, some which are your emotions and some which aren't yours. They come from other people. You know, so you might have experiences where you're feeling frightened or fearful or having some kind of emotion and don't know why. Can't think of a situation or a reason why you're feeling that way, but you're noticing that emotion. And so, you know, and that can be because perhaps you're experiencing someone else's emotion rather than your own. You might be very sensitive in crowds and really not like being in a crowd, because then you're experiencing the energy of many, many people in the crowd. And when your space is invaded by other people, it can be quite hard to express your own emotions. It can be quite hard to make decisions or to put yourself first. And so This ability has got many, many challenges, but gaining seniority with it is very helpful to, it's just very helpful to know yourself, know your body. So it's a good idea to learn how to make separations from other people, because then you can feel clearer and be more discerning about things. So now clairsentience is an aspect of the second chakra. So let's talk a little bit more about that. And by the way, I'm just going to check in. Corey, did anyone share that they feel like they are empathic?
Not yet, but Bridie did say, "Ooh, yes, kind of is sometimes dis-ease."
Well, and you know, all things that manifest on a physical level have an underlying emotional imprint before it ever gets to the physical level.
Yeah, I'm empathic.
Yeah.
Not as much as anymore. I don't know, or do I? I think I'm pretty empathic. I think I do a few of the things that you say, especially some of the negative things. Some of the negative things definitely. Yes.
And
But
let's also just take a moment to talk about the definition of empathic, because there's a difference between empathy and sympathy. Sympathy is kind of like when you get right there into somebody's emotional stuff with them. You know, oh, isn't it awful? Oh, how terrible! You know, and you're feeling their pain along with them. That's sympathy. Empathy is that you have an appreciation for what they're going through, but you're not taking it on. So in a way, this use of the word being an empath has slightly altered the meaning of that word empathy.
that's true. Yeah.
There's a difference between empathy and sympathy. And so I guess the challenge of the empath is going into sympathy rather than a pure state of empathy. And actually, what we want to be in is empathy. And what we don't want to be is in sympathy. Because when we're in sympathy, we will be experiencing the other person's stuff. So,
You know, it's interesting. One of the things that you said was, as a negative, is was hard. It's hard to put yourself first when you put two clairsentient people in this in a relationship like we are. It's hard to make a decision sometimes.
because you're wanting to please the other person and give your and have a tendency to give your power away to other people. Yes.
No, but I mean, when you have two people like us that are very, kind, generous, warm-hearted type thing, we both always trying to see what the other person wants without putting what we want necessarily first.
Yeah, that's right. That's called being a people pleaser, and is very much a challenge of clairsentience and a growth cycle that within the second chakra. Big
So,
challenge.
if Tracy says, yes, I think I'm empathic. I don't feel other people's pain, thank goodness.
Thank goodness. So this is an aspect of the second chakra. And the second chakra is the one, it's 2 finger widths below your navel. And remember last week, if you listened to the show last week, we were talking about the first chakra and the survival instinct. So this is a level up from that in terms of vibration, but it's still very much concerned with our earthly reality. We can think of it as the human relational chakra, right? Um, to do with human relationships and interactions between humans. Because it governs your ability to listen to your body's emotional signals and sexual signals and those from other people as well. So let me explain what I mean by that, because you may not realize exactly what your emotions are. I mean, on one level, they're vibrations. So every emotion has a vibration, and there are some emotions have a lower vibration than others. So fear has a very low vibration, anger is a bit higher vibration, I don't know, shame and guilt a bit higher. And so, and then the high end of the emotional scale, joy, love, and all of those, excitement. So your body is giving you feedback about the reality that it is in through the emotions. I like this and I don't like that. And your clairsentience is your way of receiving the feedback from your body. So you are not your body, you are spirit. Your body is a vehicle that you've created to experience physical reality, to experience this lifetime. So the primary purpose of clairsentience is body-spirit communication, and specifically communication between you, the higher consciousness, and you, the body personality level. Now, most of us didn't grow up using it for that, right? So there's a tendency for most people to have that focused externally on the other people around them, especially as a child, right? Because you want to know, well, am I safe? Because if daddy's really angry right now, I'm not safe. So we have it turned out to detect how other people are feeling. So more about that after this break. And if you're listening on the live stream, this is a pre-recording for the radio show. So every once in a while we say this, we're taking a break because we're leaving space for the radio station to put advertisements in.
And we're back on air.
Welcome back, listeners. You're tuning into Unlocking Your Truth with Dr. Leslie and with Corey.
And that's still me.
Tonight's show is about the second chakra and clairsentience. We're doing a series on the show from now until the end of the year, actually, where every show we're going to talk about a different form of intuition, a different psychic ability, and the chakra or chakras that relate to that form of intuition or psychic ability. And I'm doing this, by the way, to celebrate my new book, Intuition and Chakras.
Yay!
So earlier in the year, we went through some of the subject matter that's in the first section of the book. The second section of the book is all about intuition and chakras. And I'm doing a back to front version because in the book, I talk about things that the aspects of the crown chakra and the sixth chakra, and we work our way from top down. In the radio series, I am going to do it bottom up. So last week we did survival instinct in the first chakra, and this week we're doing the second chakra and clairsentience. And we were talking before the break about how clairsentience is a form of spiritual communication that allows communication between body and spirit. You are spirit, you have a body, your body has emotions. The body's emotions are signals, vibrations that the body is giving out to, as a statement of how it is or is not enjoying its reality. And the clairsentience is how you can really start to build a strong and powerful relationship with your own body. Because if you are going to live the life you came here to live the purpose that you have, you need a strong alignment between body and spirit so that they cooperate and work together. So, Corey, looks like you have a comment or a question.
Oh yeah, we've got some comments. Melissa says, when you were talking about people pleasing, she said, that's me, people pleasing. Now, Brady Bridie says, sometimes it's beautiful, but sometimes they get over all the emotions and just want to live, not take life, not take life so not take life so seriously, be and laugh. Easily said than done sometimes, though. It's more easily said than done sometimes, though. Feeling like recent times usually coping strategies and tools aren't as effective. Notice that for a lot of people, and she's noticed that for a lot of people. Suppose that comes with the shifts in the soul, experiencing unfamiliar territory, adjusting and grounding into what we don't recognize on some level. And by the way, Tracy says, love your book. It's so loaded with great information. Thank you, Dr. Leslie, for writing it.
Oh, you're
Thank you,
welcome.
Tracy. Yeah.
Yeah, Bridie, so some great comments there. And it's true that we are kind of like lobsters in the pot where the temperature of the water's being turned up. And so yes, sometimes it feels like we are walking through syrup, you know. And so we're going through these vibrational shifts, and having to adjust to the new energies. And so, and all of that is in addition to what we're talking about here. And so, sometimes when you're feeling like, what's wrong? There's something wrong. I don't feel like I'm expecting to feel. It can actually just be that you're going through an adjustment to that planetary energy. And while you're temporarily making that adjustment, you're going to feel sometimes like you're walking through molasses. And then if we don't accept that and realize that, we can spiral down emotionally, because we can say, well, I'm not doing very well here, am I? I'm supposed to be an awakening human, and here I am feeling like this, and then we can attach negative thoughts and emotions to that. So it is a very challenging time. On top of all of the normal human stuff, we've got such massive energy shifts going on. And so Bridie mentioned, well, it just seems like all the old coping mechanisms are not working anymore. So I'm not too sure exactly what coping mechanisms you are using, Bridie, but there are some excellent ones in the book. And one of the ones that is really, really helpful on an emotional level is centering. And that's actually something you do with your sixth chakra. But the sixth chakra allows you to be above the emotions, not ignore them, not deny them, not stuff them down, but to be the neutral observer of the emotions so that you can respond to them rather than react to them or be triggered by them. So there's a whole chapter on centering in the book. And there's also a meditation included with the book that you can get on video to learn that. So I was talking about the purpose of clairsentience being body-spirit communication, helping you and your body work together as a team, because the body has its own intrinsic consciousness, and it has these powerful drives, the emotions being one of them, the sex drive being another, the intellect another, and even the physical senses. And so most humans are really allowing those drives of the body to rule their reality. And so from my perspective, being an awakened human is learning how to tame and drive the wild horse. And one of the things about that is this aspect of clairsentience, being able to build a relationship with your body, love your body, treat it well, but listen to it and listen to how it's responding to the situations that you are putting it in. Because if it is communicating to you fear, anger, guilt, shame, then there's something for you to pay attention to. Because if you are vibrating at those lower vibration emotions, um, you know, that's a frequency that you're beaming out there into reality. And remember, what you get in your reality is a reflection of what you're putting out. Fear is stuck energy, it's not moving. And so if you want to have the highest possible experience of life, then paying attention to your emotions and learning um, how to adjust them and move up the vibrational scale is one of the ways of steering your reality ship. If you want to steer your reality ship, then pay attention to your emotions and work with the body to keep the body comfortable. As you go through your spiritual growth and spiritual changes, always there is a response within the body to changes you make as spirit. So the body will go through a growth cycle, and a growth cycle can be painful and traumatic, or it can be more comfortable depending on how you, the spirit, responds to it. Do we have another question or comment, Corey? You're waving at me.
Yes, I'm waving at you. I'm putting my hand up. You don't have to tell everybody that, though.
Oh, yes, but then I have to pause and I
Yeah, and you say, oh, it looks like there's a question.
yeah.
Okay, anyway. Brady says, I just get so sick of the effort to center and be the observer. It's so constant, LOL. It's so constant. But you're right, coming render and let go of the effort also, which helps. Thank you. And she also says, is there anything on empaths and intimate relationships in the book?
Yeah, there's a whole chapter on clairsentience in the book and the second chakra. I have a course on clairsentience, and the course on clairsentience, which you can check out on my website, has an enormous amount about relationships. So that would be drlesliephillips.com. And I can't really see my computer screen right now because I've got all these cameras in front of me, but there's 10 modules in that course, and there's module on I'd like to have it in front of me. I'm just going to move my camera a little bit so I can see my other screen. Yeah, we talk about family relationships. We do a lot of deprogramming with your relationship with your parents, but we also talk about intimate relationships. And I think that there's a few things that we do, like whenever you've had an intimate relationship with somebody, you really are taking on their energy. And so I think we do some practices to clear the energy of ex-partners. We talk about how we store emotional energy in the physical body and do some work around clearing that. Because if you don't allow if you're in denial of your emotions and you don't allow them to flow freely in the moment they occur, then you're stuffing them down and storing them in the body, and they can emerge later as a disease. And so and then we also talk about emotional awareness, how to use that clairsentience to be emotionally aware of how your body's feeling, and all the emotions in your space. Are they all yours, or do they belong to somebody else? And if so, who do they belong to? And also, we do some exercises to consciously shift our emotional state, to shift the vibration in the body. So I think, Bridie, you were talking about earlier how to lift up into a higher vibration. We do that in that course. And then module 5 is how relationships impact clairsentience. module 6 is what people do with their emotional energy. So this is now getting into the nitty-gritty of relationships, because most people are not in control of their emotional energy. And so they often will throw it at another person. An angry person might throw their anger at you, and it's the equivalent of slapping you. Actually, it's an energetic assault to have anger thrown at you, and and other emotions. And so we talk about how to keep your own emotions within your own space, and how that can happen in relationships that people are sloppy with their energy, and your emotional energies are commingling and intermingling when you're in a relationship. We also talk about sexuality, its purpose, and its misuse, because energetically speaking, people can be projecting their sexual energy into your space as well, make you think you have a sexual attraction to someone when maybe you actually don't, because it's their energy getting in there to your second chakra and making you think that. And so yes, we spend a lot of time, Bridie, in that course going into the nitty-gritty of emotions and relationships.
So we also have, I think what you're saying applies to Steffi's question. She says, how do you clear and protect from other energies, from other people's energies?
Yeah. So, Steffi, I don't know if you have a copy of Intuition and Chakras yet. Well, here's the thing. It has the answer to this question. How do you clear your energy? It has a bunch of techniques that teach you how to clear your energy. Now, I do have a technique on my website that's complementary. There's a free downloadable meditation that will teach you grounding, and grounding is a great way to release foreign energy. And so, if you get the book, you get a whole bunch of techniques, but at the very least, you can get grounding and centering for free. It's like a 20-30 minute meditation. So I recommend that you do that. So, and another trick really is being non-resistant, being in a state of non-resistance. The more you resist a foreign energy, the more it's going to stick to you. And that's the dog chasing its tail. Why are they doing this, or why is this happening, and why can't I clear it out? It's just going to stick if you get into that state of mind. So being non-resistant and just allowing it to flow through you and be released.
What people say is what you focus on expands, grows, and that holds true for emotions as well, negative or positive emotions. And remember, it's both negative and positive. So if you expand on your positive emotions and you focus on it, well, that's going to expand. It's like love. Love is not. Everybody looks at love as a noun. It's not a noun. It's a verb. You love someone. If you stop loving them, that means you're not doing the actions of love, and you're not doing the actions of that show that you're loving. So basically, if there's a problem in a relationship, start loving again. Start showing love. Well, Dr. Leslie, we got about a minute for a break. There's a couple of questions.
Leave them till after the break. I've just got one comment to say what Bridie said, which is effort. She said it's an effort to center. If it's an effort to center, you're approaching the technique as a body level rather than a spirit, because everything is effortless. Everything the body does takes effort. So effort is a big clue that you're approaching your spiritual growth from the body level rather than the higher consciousness level. Listeners, you've been tuning in to Unloving Yourself. We're going to take a quick break, and then we'll be back shortly.
And meanwhile, I'll put the link for the book on. I think some people are looking at it.
Yeah, we're not on air now, but I've included a mini course with live video and audio meditations of the techniques that are in the book.
Okay, why don't we go live? You can say that again for
Oh,
next people listening to it.
because I'm embarrassed at always talking about my book. Okay, let's go back. Welcome back, listeners. You are tuning in to Unlocking Your Truth with Dr. Leslie and with Corey. And we were just talking during the break. I was saying that the book, part 3 of the book, has a whole bunch of energy techniques. The actual title of the book is Intuition and Chakras: How to Increase Your Psychic Development Through Energy. So there's a whole section where you're being given energy techniques. And because I really believe that the best way to learn this stuff is through direct experience, I've included a link to 5 audio video meditations of the techniques taught in the book in the beginning of chapter 3. So everybody who buys the book gets that as a gift, which is amazing.
Definitely. And so get some get the Tracy says the book answers everything. Yeah. So and Steffi says the grounding exercise. Thank you. That's great. And Bertie says, aha, you've just reminded me, letting go and grounding isn't an event, it's a practice.
It's a practice. That's right. It's a practice which you can be doing continuously. You can be doing, you don't have to just do it when you sit down and meditate for half an hour or an hour. You can be doing it while you're in the supermarket, while you're driving your car.
And men listen as well. This is not just for women. This is for men as well. I mean, when you ground yourself, you actually go into your masculinity. You go into that place of solid masculinity is the best word for it, and it does change who you are, like in the sense of how people look at you, how people see you. It's quite impressive. It's quite an impressive technique for men. I know it is for women as well, but for men it's very impressive. You stand differently, you talk differently, your body motions are different, how you speak is different. It's quite impressive.
Yeah. And you're not a pushover when you're grounded.
Exactly. Physically or emotionally.
And your ground.
Yeah.
Yeah, you stand your ground and you're more aware of who you are and what you want and what you stand for as well. So it's a very powerful technique. It's a very ancient technique. It's very powerful and it is life-changing. You know, so many people out in the spiritual scene are like sort of technique junkies. Well, I've learned that, I know that, and I want the next one. Now I've learned that and I know that and I want the next one. But to be honest with you, if you, in this lifetime, if the only thing you learn is grounding and if you practice it, you change everything. It's a game changer.
Definitely.
Because it brings you into your body. So you're focused within your body. If you're not focused within your body, you're not going to be particularly in charge of your energy or your reality. It gives you a way of releasing things you don't want and making space for things you do want. So it's like you get to let go of things in your reality that you don't want and bring in things that you do.
Yeah, definitely.
That's game changer.
Yeah. I mean, I remember paying in 2005, I remember paying, going to a course that was $1,900, actually $2,000, a 3-day seminar, and about just the interaction between men and women. And I learned, the main thing I learned was actually a grounding. It was learning how to ground myself as a man, and how that affects the relationship between men and women. And also, we also studied a little bit about Kundalini, but the grounding was the main thing. And once you learn how to ground and you stand, it's amazing how I have to repeat it. It's amazing how people look at you. They see you differently.
Because
And you know,
you're showing up in your life if you're grounded. You're
yeah,
actually really there.
I'll give you an experience, Dr. Leslie. It's very interesting. This is a very strong point with me. Um, you know, when you stand talking to somebody, everybody has their personal space, and it's usually about 3 feet. Anybody comes in closer to 3 feet, you start backing up. Well, I had this gentleman one time at a party, and he was so massively intrusive. I mean, he would stand and he would go right in. He'd come into people, especially with women. He'd come into people's faces, and what I did is, as I went and I grounded myself, and I went to start talking to him, and I walked him all around the room. He just kept backing up and settling sideways, and it's amazing what it does. You can stand up to people that have issues. That works for men and it works for women. We have a question here from Melissa, by the way. How often should we work on grounding? I know
So
the answer.
if you're new to this technique, Melissa, then I would set some time aside every day to do a grounding meditation. And so, and 15 minutes, half an hour if you're doing, more stuff. And but then it becomes second nature. And then it's a technique that you can take with you wherever you go, not just when you're meditating. And so, I mean, listen to what we're saying. It's the difference between being present in your life or not being present in your life. Let's give you some examples. I'm sure you've had the experience where you leave the house and you get in your car and you're driving somewhere, and you get to your destination and you've got no memory at all of what went on in the drive from A to B. You know, you left your house, you know, you now got here, wherever you're going, work or whatever, but the rest of it is a blur. Why is it a blur? Because you were kind of driving on autopilot and you were not grounded and you were not present. You were not present. So you missed the whole journey. So take that as a metaphor for life. Do you want to miss the whole journey? Or do you want to be present for the journey of life? Most people are not. Most people are kind of hanging around outside their bodies. They're not really, I mean, think of it this way, people are in the spiritual circuits talk about being embodied. If you want to be embodied, if you want to be fully embodied, you, spirit, the high vibration being, then you need to be grounded. It won't happen if you're not grounded. It'll all just stay up there in the ethereal realms. So I recommend grounding often. And you can put a grounding cord in place and go to sleep. And still be grounded.
I didn't know that.
So there you go. And today on the show we're talking about the second chakra and we're talking about clairsentience, but we haven't got off topic because grounding is gonna help you with everything. Grounding helps you be more in touch with your body, be more connected to your body. And clairsentience is all about body-spirit communication. How's my body doing right now? So if you're far removed from your body, you're not going to know that. You as spirit, you can be anytime, any place, anywhere. The body can only be here and now. Grounding helps you be here and now with the body. That's why sometimes when people start meditating, they don't like it because they say, well, when I meditate, I don't feel good. Either physically, I've got a pain in my back, or there's some emotional disturbance that's coming up. it's not the meditation that's causing that. It's because you weren't in your body, so you weren't in touch with what's in your body. And now you're starting meditating and you're starting grounding, and all of a sudden your awareness of your body is increasing. So grounding will help you with your second chakra and your clairsentience, and the healing of the second chakra and the opening of the second chakra, and the, you know, tuning into and owning of that particular form of intuition, owning it for yourself so that you're in charge of it, and it's not, like we were talking about, being overcome by other people's energies, or just the body doing its own thing, taking charge of reality. So clairsentience helps you to sense into your body so that you can decide if you need to modify something that you're doing. So maybe your body's really grumpy because you've been working too hard and it really wants some more sleep, or it wants some exercise. Or maybe it's anxious because you're in a difficult relationship. Or you know, and here's the thing, if you, like, meditation is a really great way to cope with the stresses of life. There are other ways that people find, and these relate to the second chakra imbalances, using drugs and alcohol and sex and other kinds of distractions to stop you feeling, instead of allowing yourself to feel and processing the emotions and allowing them to flow through your system. So, are you all following? Do you have any questions? Now's the time to ask. We're approaching towards the end of the show. I can keep on talking forever, but I like to give you an opportunity to ask about this stuff.
Tracy said there was a question from earlier. I'm looking up and see if I can find your question. Oh, I'm sorry, Tracy, I missed that one. And Tracy says, do all emotions show up in the body? For example, if there's a pain in the body, is that usually caused by not dealing with an emotion? Would it be accurate to say that the higher vibrations don't cause pain?
Yeah. Well, think if you're in a state of feeling love or joy. Or a really great example is amusement. If you are, let's say you're not feeling well, and you lie on the sofa and you say, well, I'm going to watch a movie. And you watch a really funny movie that has you splitting your sides with laughter. Amusement has a very high vibration, super high vibration. So in the moments when you're amused, you're actually cease being aware of having any pain or discomfort, because you've moved to a vibration where those lower vibrations are not compatible with it. So they disappear in those moments. So one of the best ways to heal yourself if you're unwell is, you know, sit and watch a load of funny movies and a load of comedies, because that will move you into a higher vibration.
Or just look in the mirror.
And yeah, you know, a lot of the time, a physical disease has an underlying emotional misalignment that's long standing and has been ignored for such a long time that it develops into something physical. So think about what we're saying here. We're saying that your emotions are a communication. The body's going, hey, you know, I feel sad right now. And you might go, oh, shut up and just keep doing what I want you to do, instead of how can I help you? And you know, the body will keep telling you through its emotions how it's feeling. But if you keep ignoring it, it's going to find a way to shout louder. And that's what a physical occurrence of a physical illness can be, is the body shouting louder. You didn't listen to my emotions when I was telling you, you know, years ago through my emotions. So now you can't ignore it because I'm showing it to you this way through this physical thing. Now, an exception to that, or maybe not an exception to that, might be when somebody has, let's say somebody has some kind of accident. You might say, well, what if somebody's, I don't know, stabbed? You know, they're minding their own business. Well, that, then they're in pain, but what did they do to make that pain? They didn't have a long-standing thing that they were ignoring. On a spiritual level, though, what we say is that all of your life circumstances are a reflection back at you of something within your own personal reality. It can be really hard to, that's a hard concept to accept in the case of accidents or things where it feels like you're a victim. But there will be something in there for you to pay attention to. Yeah,
We only have 2 minutes left, and I just wanted to give you the two questions from Steffi and from Bridie, and I hope we can squeeze them in. Love to hear you address protecting energy when you're overwhelmed or overstimulated. Many introverts can feel that often and wonder how you suggest handling that. Is that grounding also? And Bridie says, it seems harder to consciously choose to ground when you need it most. Heard this one you might like. I remind myself, make 10 minutes a day to meditate, ground. If you don't have time, take an hour.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, let's say you're in fear, then you need it most. What happens when you're in fear is you lose your grounding, you close down your third chakra, you open up, so then you're just out of it. So it just takes a little bit more focus, and that's why centering is really helpful. Steffi's question, did you say protecting energy? I think I misheard one word that you said.
Yes, protecting energy. Love to hear you address protecting energy when you're overwhelmed or overstimulated.
How to protect yourself. All of the techniques in the book are protections. Grounding is a protection. If you're grounded, it gives a conduit for energy to flow through you. That is a protection. When you're centered, it's a protection because you're able to observe the circumstances neutrally. And there are more in the book, and we have to stop now because that's the end of the show.
Yeah. Thank you, folks. That was great.
Yeah. Next week it will be the third chakra. We'll have 3 weeks on the third chakra. We'll be doing energy distribution, out-of-body experience, and out-of-body memory. One show on each. See you then.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.